I spent $80,000 building a dream retirement suite for my parents, and on the day I finished, they told me they were moving in with my sister instead. My name is Annalise, and I'm 32 years old. I should have seen this coming, but hindsight is a luxury you can't afford when you're working 60-hour weeks and spending every weekend covered in drywall dust. Are you seriously installing heated floors? Soleil asked, stepping carefully around the construction mess in what would become my parents' kitchen. Anna, this is nicer than my actual apartment. I wiped sweat from my forehead with the back of my work glove. They deserve it. Dad's knees are getting worse, and Mom's been talking about downsizing for years. But $80,000. That's like a down payment on a house. It's an investment, I said, adjusting the thermostat controls. They raised me. This is how I give back. Soleil picked up a tile sample from the counter. Meanwhile, what's Cassandra contributing to this family retirement fund? I paused. My younger sister had been notably absent from every planning meeting, every Home Depot run, every weekend I'd spent learning to install cabinets from YouTube videos. She's busy with her own life. Busy doing what? Last I heard, Reuben still doesn't have a job. Sewell, don't. I'm just saying, you've been killing yourself for 2 years on this project while she posts vacation photos on Instagram. I turned back to the heated floor controls, not wanting to have this conversation. Again. Different people show love differently. Right. Some people show love by building entire apartments. Others show love by existing, I guess. The basement suite was beautiful. I'd designed it myself, an open-concept living area with a kitchenette, a bedroom with built-in storage, and a bathroom with grab bars and a walk-in shower. Every detail considered for aging bodies and changing needs. The floors were luxury vinyl that looked like hardwood, but wouldn't be slippery. The lighting was soft, but bright enough for reading. I'd even installed a separate entrance so they could maintain their independence. Your parents are going to cry when they see this, Soleil said, running her hand along the granite countertop I'd gotten at cost through a contractor friend. That's the plan. 3 weeks later, I stood in that same kitchen, watching my parents examine the finished space with expressions I couldn't quite read. It's lovely, sweetheart, Mom said, her voice strangely flat. Really lovely. Dad nodded, hands clasped behind his back. You did good work here, Anna. Real good work. I waited for more. For excitement. For gratitude. For some acknowledgement of the nights I'd fallen asleep at my kitchen table reviewing contractor estimates, the vacation I'd cancelled to stay on budget, the social life I'd sacrificed to finish on schedule. Instead, Dad cleared his throat. We need to talk. The 3 of us sat on the new couch I'd bought specifically for this moment, the moment they'd realized their daughter had built them a home within a home. Your mother and I have been discussing our living situation, Dad began, and we've decided we're going to move in with Cassandra instead. The words hit like a physical blow. I felt my face go numb. What? Mom leaned forward, her voice taking on that gentle, explaining to a child tone I remembered from childhood. Cassandra needs us more right now. Reuben lost his job, and they're struggling with the mortgage. We can help with expenses and babysit when she finds work. But this... I gestured around the space that had consumed my life for 2 years. I built this for you. And it's beautiful, Dad said quickly. But family takes care of family. Cassandra's family is in crisis. I stared at them, processing. So what am I supposed to do with this? Dad and Mom exchanged a look. Well, Dad said slowly, You could always sell the house, use the equity from the renovation to help get Cassandra and Reuben back on their feet. The room went silent except for the hum of the new refrigerator. You want me to sell my house? We're just saying it's an option, Mom said. You're single. You don't need all this space. The money could really help. I'll think about it, I said, standing up. That night, I sat in my actual kitchen upstairs, staring at my laptop screen. The cursor blinked in the search bar. How to list basement suite for rent. I clicked enter. The family dinner was scheduled for Sunday. I should have cancelled, but some masochistic part of me needed to see this through. Cassandra's house looked the same as always. Decent neighborhood, well-maintained lawn, the kind of place that screamed, "We're doing fine," to anyone driving by. I rang the doorbell with a bottle of wine I'd grabbed from my kitchen counter, something I'd been saving for a celebration that would never come. Anna! Cassandra opened the door with her trademark bright smile, the one that had gotten her out of trouble since we were kids. Come in, come in. Mom and Dad are already here. The living room was exactly what I expected. Reuben sprawled across the couch in sweatpants and a wrinkled t-shirt, scrolling through his phone. My parents sat stiffly on the love seat, looking like guests in their own daughter's home. Hey, Anna, Reuben said without looking up. Heard you built quite the setup downstairs. It turned out nice, I said, handing Cassandra the wine. Oh, you didn't have to, she said, but she was already examining the label. This looks expensive. It wasn't. Cassandra disappeared into the kitchen, and I took the chair across from my parents. Dad was wearing his good shirt, the one he saved for church and special occasions. Mom had done her hair. How's work? Mom asked. Busy, always busy. That's good. Job security. The conversation died there. We sat in uncomfortable silence until Cassandra returned with glasses of wine for everyone except Reuben, who held up a beer bottle. So, Cassandra said, settling next to her husband, Mom and Dad told me about your generous offer. I nearly choked on my wine. My what? About selling your house to help us out. That's so sweet of you to even consider it. I looked at my parents. Dad was studying his wine glass like it contained the secrets of the universe. Mom was smiling that tight, please don't make a scene smile. I said I'd think about it. Of course. Cassandra waved her hand. No pressure, but it would really help us get back on our feet. Reuben's been looking for work, but the market is so tough right now. Reuben snorted. Market's been tough for 2 years, apparently. It has been tough, Cassandra said sharply. Some of us don't have fancy corporate jobs with benefits and bonuses. Some of us show up to work every day, I said quietly. The room went silent. Reuben looked up from his phone for the first time since I'd arrived. What's that supposed to mean? Cassandra's voice had an edge now. Nothing, just that different people have different approaches to employment. Reuben is trying. He's been to dozens of interviews. I'm sure he has. Dad cleared his throat. Let's not fight. We're family. Exactly, Cassandra said, her voice softening. We're family, and family helps family, right? I mean, when Mom and Dad move in here, we'll all be making sacrifices. I'll have to give up my craft room. Reuben will have to share his office space. His office space? I asked. Reuben gestured vaguely toward the hallway. Got a whole setup in the spare bedroom. Gaming computer, streaming equipment. I'm working on building a following. Streaming what? Video games, mostly. Some commentary stuff. It's actually a legitimate career path now. I took a long sip of wine. How's that working out financially? It takes time to build an audience, Cassandra jumped in. But Ruben's really talented. He just needs the right opportunity. Right, I said. And in the meantime, my parents are going to support you. We're going to support each other, Mom said firmly. That's what families do, is it? I asked. Because I spent 2 years and $80,000 supporting this family, and now I'm being asked to sell my house to support it some more. Anna. Dad's voice carried a warning. No, it's fine, Cassandra said, but her cheeks were flushed. I get it. Anna's always been the responsible one, the one with the good job and the savings account. Some of us aren't that lucky. Luck has nothing to do with it, doesn't it? Some of us had to figure things out on our own. Some of us didn't get help with college applications or job interviews or... I worked 3 jobs to pay for college. And I got married and started a family. Different choices, different paths. Ruben stood up suddenly. I'm getting another beer. Anyone want anything? Nobody answered. He shuffled toward the kitchen, and I heard the refrigerator open and close. Look, Cassandra said, her voice gentler now. I know this is hard, but Mom and Dad need us, both of us, and if selling your house means we can all be stable and together, isn't that worth considering? I looked at my parents. They were both staring at me with expectant faces, waiting for me to do what I'd always done, sacrifice for the greater good of the family. I'll think about it, I said again, but I'd already made my decision. The rental listing went live Tuesday morning. By Wednesday, I had 12 inquiries. Basement suite, separate entrance, all utilities included. I read from my phone to Soleil over lunch. $700 a month. That's it? Anna, you could charge way more for that space. I don't want a landlord headache. I want good tenants who'll stay long-term. And stick it to your family in the process. I smiled. That's just a bonus. The first showing was Thursday evening. A young couple arrived exactly on time, Emma and her fiancé Jake. She was maybe 28, professionally dressed, carrying a folder of documents. This is beautiful, Emma said, stepping into the living area. You did all this yourself? Most of it. Had help with the electrical and plumbing. Jake was examining the kitchen cabinets. These are solid wood, real quality work. Thank you. Emma opened her folder. We brought references, credit reports, employment verification. I work in marketing, Jake's in IT. We're both salaried, no pets, non-smokers. Why are you looking for a rental? I asked. Most people your age are trying to buy. We're saving for a wedding and a down payment, Emma said. This would let us save faster while still having our own space. How long are you thinking of staying? At least 2 years, maybe 3. We're not in a rush. Perfect. The lease would be month to month initially, but I'd prefer a longer-term arrangement once we're all comfortable. That works for us, Jake said. When could we move in? 1st of next month if you want it. They exchanged a look. We'll take it, Emma said. Friday morning, I sat across from Dominic at his financial planning office. He was maybe 34, sharp suit, the kind of competent professionalism that made you trust him with your money. So you're looking at rental income of $8,400 annually, he said, typing into his computer. What are your goals for this money? Growth. Long-term growth. Retirement planning? Maybe. Or travel. Or just security. He turned his screen toward me. High-yield savings account gives you immediate access but lower returns. Index funds are better for long-term growth, but less liquid. What would you recommend? Split it. Emergency fund in savings, the rest in a diversified portfolio. Conservative but steady growth. How steady? Historically, 7 to 10% annually, compounded. I did the math in my head. So, in 10 years, assuming consistent contributions and average market performance, you're looking at significant growth. Plus, rental income typically increases over time. Set it up. That evening, Soleil came over with champagne. To karma with cash flow, she said, raising her glass. To new beginnings. We were sitting in my kitchen when my phone buzzed with a notification. Instagram. Cassandra had posted a photo of herself at some upscale restaurant. Caption reading, "Date night. Sometimes you just need to treat yourself." Interesting, Soleil said, looking over my shoulder. Thought they were broke. I scrolled through more recent posts. Designer handbag, new shoes, a weekend trip to the coast. Maybe Ruben's streaming career took off, I said. Or maybe your parents are more generous than you thought. My phone rang. Mom. Hi, Mom. Hi, sweetheart. How are you? Good. Busy with work. That's nice. Listen, I wanted to ask, have you given any more thought to what we discussed? About selling the house? Well, yes. Cassandra mentioned they're really struggling with the mortgage payment this month. I looked at Soleil, who was making exaggerated, shocked faces. I'm still thinking about it. Of course. No pressure. It's just that they're family, and if there's anything we can do to help. Are you helping them financially, Mom? Silence. What do you mean? I mean, are you and Dad giving them money? We're doing what we can. Small amounts here and there. How small, Anna? That's not really your concern. It is if you're asking me to sell my house to help them. We're not asking you to do anything. We're just saying it would be nice if you could consider... I have to go, Mom. I'll talk to you later. I hung up and looked at Soleil. They're giving them money. Of course they are. Probably their retirement savings. While asking me to sell my house. The golden child gets everything, just like always. My phone buzzed with a text from Emma. Just wanted to say thank you again for choosing us as tenants. We're really excited to move in next week. I showed Soleil the message. See? Good tenants, steady income, and your parents can figure out their own living situation. You think I'm being too harsh? I think you're being smart. For the first time in your life, you're putting yourself first. Another text, this one from an unknown number. Hey, Anna. It's Ruben. Cassandra gave me your number. Heard you might be selling your place. We'd be interested in talking about it. Could work out for everyone. I showed Soleil the message. The audacity, she said. They want to buy your house with your parents' money. I deleted the text without responding. What are you going to do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And for the first time in years, doing nothing felt like the most powerful thing I could do. Emma moved in on a Saturday. I was upstairs when I heard voices in the backyard and looked out to see her setting up a small patio table on the deck I'd built outside the suite's entrance. This is perfect, she called up to me. Mind if I put a few plants out here? Go for it. Make it feel like home. That afternoon, my phone rang. Mom, again. Anna, I was wondering if you'd like to come to dinner Sunday. Cassandra's making her famous lasagna. I'm busy Sunday. What about next weekend? I'll check my schedule. Sweetheart, you're being awfully distant lately. I'm not distant. I'm just busy. With what? Work can't take up all your time. I looked out the window at Emma arranging potted herbs on her new deck. I have a tenant now. Silence. A tenant? In the basement suite. She moved in today. But we thought you were going to sell. I never said I was going to sell. I said I'd think about it. Anna, this is very inconvenient timing. For who? For the family. We're trying to work together here. Are we? Because it seems like you and Dad made your decision without consulting me. We chose what was best for everyone. You chose what was best for Cassandra. Mom's voice got that sharp edge it took on when she was losing patience. Your sister needs support right now. She's going through a difficult time. When hasn't she been going through a difficult time? That's not fair. Isn't it? Remember when she crashed Dad's car senior year and I had to give her my graduation money for the deductible? Or when she couldn't make rent in college and I worked double shifts to help her out? Or when... Those were different situations. Were they? I heard Dad's voice in the background. Then Mom came back on the line. Your father wants to talk to you. Anna. Dad's voice was tired. What's this about a tenant? I rented the basement suite. $700 a month, 1-year lease. You can't do that. I can. It's my house. But we had an understanding. No, Dad, you had an assumption. This is very selfish of you. The words hit harder than I expected. Selfish? Your family needs help, and you're worried about making a profit. I spent $80,000 and 2 years of my life building that space for you. And we appreciate that, but circumstances changed. Circumstances changed, or Cassandra called crying about money again. Don't talk about your sister that way. How should I talk about her? She's 29 years old, Dad. When does she start taking responsibility for her own life? She's trying her best. Is she? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like she's living off your retirement savings while her husband plays video games. That's enough. You're right. It is enough. I hung up. Sunday evening, I was grading papers at my kitchen table when Emma knocked on the back door. Sorry to bother you, she said. I was wondering if you knew anything about the people who keep calling the house phone downstairs. House phone? There's a landline in the kitchen. It's been ringing all day. I finally answered it, and some woman asked if this was the Shelton residence. My stomach dropped. What did you tell her? That I was renting the apartment and didn't know any Sheltons. She seemed confused. That was probably my mother. Oh. Emma looked uncomfortable. Should I have said something different? No. You handled it perfectly. Is everything okay? You seem stressed. I looked at this young woman who was paying me rent to live in the space I'd built for my parents. Family drama. Nothing you need to worry about. If you ever need to talk, I'm a good listener. I have my own complicated family situation. Thanks. I might take you up on that. After Emma left, I sat in my kitchen thinking about all the times I'd been the responsible one. The times I'd covered for Cassandra, cleaned up her messes, made excuses for her behavior. The times my parents had asked me to be understanding because Cassandra was going through something. My phone buzzed. Text from Cassandra. Mom said you rented the basement. Really? You couldn't wait to see if we could work something out? I stared at the message for a long time before typing back. Work what out? You know what? Don't play dumb. I genuinely don't know what you're talking about. The house, Anna. Selling the house so we can all figure this out together. There's nothing to figure out. You chose to have Mom and Dad live with you. I chose to rent my basement. Everyone's happy. No one's happy. Mom and Dad are stressed about money. Reuben and I are struggling, and you're being selfish. How is renting my own property selfish? Because family comes first. Does it? Because when I needed help with the renovation, where was the family? When I was working overtime to pay for materials, where was the family? The typing indicator appeared and disappeared several times before her response came. We all contribute differently. You're right. Some of us contribute. Others just take. She didn't respond. Tuesday morning, my phone rang at 6 a.m. Dad. Anna, we need to talk. It's 6 in the morning. Things at Cassandra's aren't working out. Can we meet for coffee? I smiled, looking out at Emma's herb garden thriving on the deck below. Sure, Dad. Let's talk. We met at the coffee shop downtown, the one with the uncomfortable metal chairs that discouraged long conversations. My parents were already there when I arrived, sitting at a corner table with untouched cups in front of them. Dad looked older than I remembered. Mom was fidgeting with her wedding ring. Thank you for coming, Dad said as I sat down. Of course. I ordered a black coffee and waited. They'd called this meeting. They could start. Living with Cassandra has been... Mom paused, searching for words. Challenging. How so? Dad cleared his throat. Reuben doesn't work regular hours. He's up all night with his gaming, sleeps until noon. The house is loud. And messy, Mom added quietly. Very messy. I see. Cassandra tries to keep things organized, but with Reuben's equipment everywhere and his friends coming over at all hours... Dad trailed off. It's not what we expected, Mom finished. I sipped my coffee and waited for more. The thing is, Dad continued, we were wondering if maybe we could move into the suite you built, just temporarily, while we figure out a more permanent solution. The suite is rented. We know, but maybe you could ask your tenant to leave. We'd pay the same rent, of course. She has a lease. Leases can be broken, Mom said hopefully. Not legally, not without cause. My parents exchanged a look. What kind of lease? Dad asked. 1 year, renewable. She's a good tenant. Quiet, clean, pays on time. But surely family comes before strangers, Mom said. Does it? The question hung in the air. Dad shifted in his chair. Anna, we made a mistake. We should have moved in with you from the beginning. Why didn't you? Cassandra needed us more. And now we realize that maybe we misjudged the situation. I set down my coffee cup. What situation? Reuben isn't looking for work as actively as we thought, Mom said carefully. And Cassandra's spending habits are... concerning. Concerning how? She bought a new car last week, Dad said. Said the old one was unreliable. Where did she get the money? My parents looked at each other again. We helped, Mom said quietly. How much help? Anna, that's not... How much? Dad rubbed his forehead. We've given them about $15,000 over the past few months. $15,000. It was supposed to be temporary, just until Reuben found work. And now? Now we're wondering if we made the right choice. I leaned back in my chair. So, let me understand this. You chose to live with Cassandra because she needed you more. You've given her $15,000 of your retirement money, and now you want to move into the space I built for you, which is currently occupied by a paying tenant. When you put it like that, it sounds like what it is. We're asking for help, Mom said, her voice small. Are you? Because it sounds like you're asking me to break a legal contract to fix a problem you created. We're family, Dad said. Are we? Because when I needed family support during the renovation, where were you? When I was working overtime to afford the materials, where was the family? That's different. How? You didn't ask for help. I shouldn't have had to ask. The silence stretched between us. Finally, Mom spoke. What do you want us to do? I want you to honor the choices you made. You chose Cassandra. Live with that choice. But we can't afford to keep supporting them, Dad said. Then stop. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. Dad's face was getting red. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. We raised you better than this. You raised me to be responsible for everyone else's problems. I'm done with that. Mom started crying quietly. We don't have anywhere else to go. You have options. You just don't like them. Such as? Apartment hunting, senior living communities, telling Cassandra and Reuben to get jobs and pay their own bills. We can't abandon them. You abandoned me first. The words came out harder than I intended. Dad flinched. We never abandoned you. You took the home I built for you and gave it to someone else. What would you call that? We made a decision we thought was best for the family. You made a decision that was best for Cassandra. Like always. I stood up. I have to get to work. Anna, wait. The suite is rented for at least a year. That's not changing. Please. I'm sorry you're unhappy with your living situation, but that's not my problem to solve anymore. I left them sitting at the table with their cold coffee and walked to my car. My phone started ringing before I'd even pulled out of the parking lot. It was Mom, leaving a voicemail. I didn't listen to it until I got home. Anna, please. We're broke. We've spent almost everything helping Cassandra, and we can't keep living like this. Please call me back. Please. I saved the message and went downstairs to check on Emma's herb garden. The basil was coming in beautifully. I met Dominic for our quarterly review on a Thursday afternoon. His office overlooked the financial district, all glass and steel, and the kind of confidence that came with other people's money growing steadily. Your portfolio is performing well, he said, sliding a report across his desk. The rental income is being invested automatically, and with the market upturn, you're ahead of projections. How far ahead? At this rate, you could be looking at early retirement by 50, maybe earlier if you increase contributions. What would that look like? He pulled up a calculator on his computer. If you added another 500 monthly, you'd shave off 3 years. 1,000 monthly gets you to 45. Where would I get an extra 1,000 a month? Well, you could raise the rent when the lease renews. Market rate for that space is probably closer to 900 now. I thought about Emma, carefully tending her herbs, always greeting me with a smile when we passed in the yard. I'll stick with the current arrangement. Your choice. But, Anna, can I ask you something? Sure. This whole setup, the rental income, the aggressive investing, it feels like you're building towards something specific. What's the end game? I looked out his window at the city below. Freedom. From what? From having to care about other people's poor choices. That evening, Soleil came over with takeout and wine. We were eating pad thai on my couch when my phone buzzed. Text from Cassandra. Can we talk? I need to ask you something. I showed Soleil the message. Don't respond, she said immediately. I'm curious what she wants. Nothing good, trust me. But curiosity won. I texted back. What about? Can I call you? Text is fine. 3 dots appeared and disappeared several times before her message came through. I need to borrow some money. Just temporarily. Things are really tight right now. How much? 5,000. I know it's a lot, but Ruben has a job interview next week, and we just need to get through until then. I showed Soleil, who nearly choked on her wine. $5,000, she said. After everything that's happened, she's asking you for $5,000. What should I say? Nothing. Block her number. Instead, I typed, I can't help you. Please, Anna. I'm desperate. Mom and Dad can't help anymore, and we're about to lose the house. That's not my problem. How can you say that? I'm your sister. Are you? Because sisters don't manipulate their parents into choosing them over their other children. I never manipulated anyone. Right. Anna, please, I'm begging you. I set the phone down and looked at Soleil. She's begging. Good, let her beg. My phone rang. Unknown number. Don't answer it, Soleil said. I answered anyway. Hello? Anna, it's Ruben. What do you want? Look, I know things have been weird between our families, but I wanted to talk to you directly, man to man. I'm not a man. You know what I mean, adult to adult. Okay. Cassandra told me you can't help us out financially, and I get that, but I wanted you to know that calling you selfish and cruel was out of line. Was it? Yeah. You worked hard for your money. You don't owe us anything. I waited for the but. But I also wanted you to know that your parents are really struggling. They've given us almost everything they have, and now they're talking about moving into some sketchy apartment across town because it's all they can afford. That sounds like a problem they created. Maybe. But they're your parents, Anna. Don't you care what happens to them? I care. But I'm not responsible for fixing their mistakes. Even if those mistakes were trying to help family? Especially then. Ruben was quiet for a moment. You're really not going to help. I'm really not. Wow. Cassandra said you were cold, but I didn't believe her. Believe her. You know what? Fine. We'll figure it out ourselves. We don't need your help. Good. But don't come crying to us when you're old and alone and realize that money can't buy you a family. I won't. He hung up. Soleil was staring at me. I'm impressed. That was ice cold. Was it too much? It was perfect. My phone buzzed with a text from my old neighbor, Mrs. Patterson. Saw a for sale sign go up at your sister's house today. Thought you should know? I showed Soleil the message. They're selling the house, she said. Looks like it. How do you feel about that? I thought about it. Relieved. Relieved? If they sell the house, they can't ask me to help with the mortgage anymore. My phone rang again. Mom. Don't answer it, Soleil said. I let it go to voicemail, then played the message on speaker. Anna, I don't know what to do. Your father and I are looking at apartments we can't afford, and Cassandra says you won't help. I know you're angry with us, but please don't let that anger hurt your family. Call me back. I deleted the message. You're really done with them, Soleil said. I'm really done. How does it feel? I looked around my quiet house, thought about Emma downstairs living her peaceful life, thought about my growing investment account and my plans for early retirement. It feels like freedom. They showed up on a Saturday morning. I was having coffee in my kitchen when I heard car doors slamming in my driveway. Through the window, I saw all 4 of them walking toward my front door: Mom, Dad, Cassandra, and Reuben. The doorbell rang 3 times in quick succession. I opened the door and found them arranged on my porch like some twisted family portrait. Mom's eyes were red. Dad looked exhausted. Cassandra was holding a tissue. Reuben stood behind them with his hands shoved in his pockets. "We need to talk," Dad said. "All of you?" "We're family," Cassandra said. "We should handle this as a family." I stepped aside and let them in. They filed into my living room and arranged themselves on my furniture like they were staging an intervention. "Coffee?" I asked. "This isn't a social visit," Dad said. "Okay." I sat in the chair across from them and waited. Mom spoke first. "Anna, we're desperate. We've looked at dozens of apartments, and everything we can afford is either dangerous or falling apart." "We found a place," Dad added, "but it's 40 minutes from town, and your mother can't drive that far anymore." "The house sold," Cassandra said quietly. "We close next week." "Congratulations. Don't be sarcastic," Reuben said. "This is serious." "I'm not being sarcastic. Selling your house is an accomplishment." "We're losing our house," Cassandra corrected. "There's a difference." "Is there?" "Yes. We're losing our home because we can't afford the payments anymore." "Because you spent the money on other things." "We spent the money helping family," Dad said firmly. "You spent the money enabling Cassandra." "That's not fair," Mom said. "Isn't it? How much did the new car cost? The dinners out? The weekend trips?" "Those were necessities," Cassandra said. "Were they?" "My old car was breaking down constantly. We needed reliable transportation for job interviews." "How many job interviews has Reuben been on?" Reuben shifted uncomfortably. "The market is competitive." "That's not an answer." "I've been to plenty of interviews." "How many?" "I don't have to justify myself to you." "You do if you want my help." The room went quiet. Finally, Cassandra spoke. "Anna, we're not asking for charity. We're asking for family support." "What kind of support?" "Let Mom and Dad move into the basement suite." "It's rented." "Break the lease." "No." "Then lend us money to get back on our feet." "No." "Then sell the house and split the money with us." "Absolutely not." Cassandra's composure cracked. "Then what are we supposed to do?" "Figure it out." "How can you be so cold? How can you be so entitled?" "Entitled?" Cassandra stood up. "I'm entitled for asking my sister to help her family. You're entitled for thinking you deserve help after the way you've treated me." "What way? What have I ever done to you?" I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw the same person who'd been taking without giving for 30 years. "You convinced our parents to choose you over me. You took the home I built for them and turned it into your personal bank account. You've spent their retirement savings on luxuries while I worked overtime to afford the materials for their suite." "That's not what happened." "That's exactly what happened." Dad cleared his throat. "Anna, we all made mistakes, but we're family. We work through problems together." "Do we? Because when I had problems, where was the family? You never asked for help." "I shouldn't have had to ask." "We're asking now," Mom said softly. "Too late." "It's never too late for family," she continued. "Yes, it is." I stood up and walked to my desk, pulling out a folder. "You want to know what I've been doing instead of helping you?" I opened the folder and spread out investment statements, rental agreements, and financial projections. I've been building a future. Every month, Emma pays me $700 in rent. That money goes directly into investments. In 15 years, I'll have enough to retire early. You're choosing money over family, Cassandra said. I'm choosing myself over people who never chose me. We chose you, Dad said. We raised you. We loved you. You raised me to be responsible for everyone else's problems. You loved me conditionally, based on what I could provide. That's not true, isn't it? When did you last call me just to see how I was doing? When did you last visit without needing something? They were all quiet. I spent 5 years building something for people who threw it away the moment someone else needed it more. I spent $80,000 on a dream that lasted exactly 1 day. I gathered up the papers and put them back in the folder. I spent 5 years building for someone else. Now I spend every day building for myself. That's not cruelty. That's karma. Dad's face went pale. Anna, I'm done. I'm done being the responsible one. I'm done fixing everyone else's mistakes. I'm done sacrificing my future for people who wouldn't sacrifice their comfort for me. Cassandra was crying now. You're destroying this family. I'm not destroying anything. I'm just removing myself from the wreckage. They left without another word. The silence was beautiful. No more voicemails. No more guilt-laden text messages. No more surprise visits or emotional ambushes. My phone stayed quiet, and my life stayed peaceful. Emma knocked on my back door on a Tuesday evening, holding an envelope. This came to the downstairs mailbox by mistake, she said, handing me a wedding invitation addressed to her. But I wanted to ask you something. What's up? Jake and I are getting married next month. Small ceremony, just close friends and family. Would you like to come? I looked at the invitation, elegant script on cream paper. You want me at your wedding? You're the reason we have this beautiful home. You're the reason we could save money for the wedding. Of course we want you there. I'd love to come. Great. And Anna? Thank you. For everything. This place has been perfect for us. After she left, I sat on my back deck looking at the herb garden she'd expanded. Tomatoes were growing now, and peppers. She'd asked permission first, offered to share the harvest. I'd told her to keep it all. I liked watching things grow. My phone buzzed. Dominic. Anna, I have some good news. The market performed better than expected this quarter. You're ahead of schedule on your retirement projections. How far ahead? At this rate, you could retire at 45 instead of 50. Maybe earlier if you want to travel somewhere with a lower cost of living. Where would you recommend? Portugal's popular with early retirees. Good weather, low cost of living, excellent health care. Portugal sounds nice. I'll send you some information. That weekend, Soleil came over with champagne and a stack of travel brochures. Portugal, she said, flipping through photos of coastal towns and vineyard-covered hills. Maybe. Or maybe somewhere else. The point is, I'll have options. What about your job? What about it? I've been there 8 years. I'm good at it, but I don't love it. If I can retire early, why wouldn't I? And your family? I gestured around my quiet house. What family? You haven't heard from them at all? Nothing. Complete radio silence. How does that feel? Peaceful. Soleil raised her glass. Two peace. We were finishing the bottle when my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw Mrs. Patterson from next door. Anna, dear, I hope I'm not bothering you. Not at all. Come in. I just wanted to update you on the neighborhood news. You know how I like to keep everyone informed. Mrs. Patterson was 75 and had lived on our street for 40 years. She knew everyone's business and wasn't shy about sharing it. Your parents found an apartment, she said, settling into my couch. Way out on the east side. Tiny place, but it's what they could afford. Good for them. And your sister and her husband moved in with his parents. Apparently it's not going well. His mother called the police last week because of a domestic disturbance. That's unfortunate. The young man, Reuben, he got arrested for drunk driving, lost his license. I see. Mrs. Patterson studied my face. You don't seem surprised by any of this. I'm not. Your mother came by here a few weeks ago, asking if I had your new phone number. She seemed to think you'd moved. What did you tell her? That I hadn't seen you around much, but your car was still in the driveway. She looked so sad, dear. I'm sure she did. She asked me to give you a message if I saw you. I waited. She said to tell you that she's sorry, that they all are, and that they miss you. Okay. That's all? Just okay? What else would you like me to say? Mrs. Patterson leaned forward. Anna, I've watched you grow up. I've seen how hard you've worked, how much you've sacrificed for that family. But they're still your family. Are they? Blood is blood, dear. Blood isn't enough. She was quiet for a moment. What would it take? For you to forgive them? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Nothing, I said finally. There's nothing they could do or say that would make me want them back in my life. That seems harsh. It seems honest. Mrs. Patterson stood to leave. Well, I hope you find happiness, dear, whatever that looks like for you. I already have. After she left, I walked through my house, my quiet, peaceful house with its beautiful basement suite and its reliable tenant and its growing investment account. I thought about Portugal, about early retirement, about a life built entirely on my own terms. Emma was on her deck, watering her tomatoes. She waved when she saw me. How's the garden? I called down. Thriving, she said. Just like everything else. I smiled and went back inside. I didn't break the family. I just removed myself from the wreckage. And for the first time in my life, I was exactly where I belonged.